Outside of the Eurovision Song Contest, Germany's got some pedigree and form when it comes to producing some really good metal bands, including bands like Rammstein, Scorpions, Accept, Halloween, Edguy, Creator, some more well known than others, but all of them have a sizable dedicated following, and Lord of the Lost belongs on that list. So what went wrong in 2023 when Germany came rock bottom in the Eurovision Song Contest? Well, let's find out. This is Theoretically Hearing, where I get to nerd out over a Eurovision song for the next few minutes. I'll be looking at the theory, the composition and the orchestration of the song to see what it is about the music that meant this song stunk like a stone on the night. Blood and Glitter is in the key of A minor with a time signature of 4/4 and a tempo of 140 beats per minute. Upbeat and pacey for a Eurovision song, and it provides a good driving beat for a rock song. The song structure is based around a standard verse, chorus, repetition pattern with some interesting breaks between those verses and choruses. And some of those breaks have got some fantastic music elements that we'll look into. So with all that, let's have a look at the song in more detail. Now the opening for the whole song is this intro sequence, which is quite short and it feels quite rushed compared to the loudness of the rest of the song. And it starts right away with some piano chords that are quite heavily filtered. I think these piano chords are the same as what appears later on just before the first chorus, might even be the same sample, but there's a lot of filtering going on, maybe a low pass filter has been applied. And with those piano chords we've got that deep voice, and you can tell right away this is going to be a gothic kind of song.
Blood and glitter, sweet and bitter, we're so happy we could die.
And after the chords in the intro, we go straight into the main riff of the song, which has got the full band performing, and there's some excellent octave synths that are playing over that main riff. Have a listen. Then afterwards we've got the first of two verses, and they're both quite a laid back performance, especially in the vocal performance. It's quite slow compared to what happens in the choruses, and that slower performance, it kind of helps highlight the choruses when they come in quite well. And the two verses, they're pretty much very similar, just the orchestration is slightly different. The first verse we've got just a bass guitar, bass drum, and there's some piano chords going on as well, whereas in the second verse we've got some muted guitars adding a little bit of variation for us.
What we are is but a choice, a promise to ourselves. We are free to break and change. Keep your head up in the clouds, we're 2 feet on the ground. Life's too fast, so make it count.
Now just before we go into the first chorus, we've got again those piano chords, same piano chords that we heard in the intro, with a vocal line played on top of them.
Blood and glitter, sweet and bitter, we're so happy we could die.
Now when the chorus comes in, there's a great synth melody that plays over the first half of the chorus. Here's what it looks like when it's transcribed.
Blood and glitter, sweet and bitter, we're so happy we could die. Blood and glitter, saint and sinner, we do fall before we rise. Now go, let your blood flow, with broken wings we learn to fly. We are blood and glitter.
You can see the chord progression's quite straightforward there, just the same 3 chords that repeat a couple of times, then a little bit of variation. Now at the end of the chorus we've got quite a cadence going on here across a couple of bars, which is interesting on itself, but what I really like about the end of this chorus is the fact that it ends on this B flat. This B flat, when we're in the key of A minor, is completely atonal, it's a minor second. And that B flat's adding a lot of tension because it's completely off key, sets us up quite nicely into the next section of the song. And that cadence on the end of the chorus there, I mentioned it ends in the B flat, also the notes that are played on there, just listen to the church bells that are playing along with the 4 chords at the end there. It sounds very, very gothic industrial, does sound good for the song. Now, the first and second chorus, there's 3 choruses in the song, right? There's one towards the very end in the coda of the song. But the 2 choruses that are played, they're preceded by this little piano sequence, okay? And there's one at the start of the first chorus, there's a slightly different one at the start of the second chorus, and there's a vocal line being played on top of those piano lines. Both of those little sections of piano are great bits of music in my opinion. It's just a shame that those vocal lines are on top of them because it obscures them off a little bit. And the lyrics that are being sung over those piano sections, those lyrics are repeated when the chorus comes in anyway. It kind of risks this part of the song, you know, the chorus, one of the most important parts of the song, it risks it sounding too repetitive when the vocal line is repeated in the way it is here. Also, I think that those piano sections should have been given more room to breathe. They're only in there for a couple of bars. I would have loved it if they expanded it to give it maybe a full 4 bars or 8 bar sequence with just those piano sections, building a bit more, because pianos in a rock song are incredibly goth. Have a listen to both those piano lines without the rest of the band, without the vocals, and here's what the transcription looks like as well. After the second chorus plays, we've got a bridge of sorts, but what the bridge really is, it's the main riff from that we heard at the very start of the song. But what I really like about this part of the song is the way that the chorus segues into this bridge section. Now in the second half of the chorus, there's a rhythmic interruption going on. First half of the chorus was a straight rock beat, you know, kick, snare, and in the second half of the chorus, the drum beat changes completely, adding a bit of variation to the chorus. But in the second chorus, this goes straight back into the main riff with a straight rock beat, that kick, snare. Have a listen to it without the vocals in place and you'll see what I mean. It works really well. Now for the outro sequence, the coda of the song, we're back into the main chorus section with the standard lyric line, but the way the chorus ends to complete the song changes slightly as well. So at the end of the first chorus, earlier in the song, we had that cadence that went over the chords and landed in the B flat. This time around we've got the same thing, ends in the B flat, but it repeats again and ends back on the A, the tonic of the song. And that mix up of using the supertonic, repeating again to land on a tonic, that's a great way of finishing off the song. You've got the harmonic tension of the B flat that just lingers there. The chords then play again, but we land back at home, finishing off the song quite nicely. Well, that was the song. So what was in there that didn't really help it in the contest this year? Now, the song's got some really great musical elements in it. It's got the synth octaves, it's got the piano sequence that I mentioned earlier as well, but those are lost within the arrangement of the whole song. There's vocals that have been played on top of them, there's a lot of instrumentation going on around them, so those musical elements kind of got lost a little bit. So I think the arrangement of the song just could have been structured ever so slightly differently to allow those bits of great musicality to shine. And we had some cheesy musical elements in there. They can work in the Eurovision song, they certainly do for other songs. For this song and the general mood that we're in, those cheesy electronic toms or the laser pew pews, they probably stood out more than they were meant to, I think. The vocal delivery throughout the whole song, and this is just something characteristic of the genre, it's dynamically very flat. So what I mean by dynamically flat is there's not much variation between the quieter, gentler bits and the loud belts that we get. And that, like I say, this is characteristic of the genre. It's meant to be deep and brooding. But when you're in a song contest and you've got a very dynamically flat performance here, you need to allow other parts of the performance to really stand out and to provide extra value to the song in a way. And I think the arrangement of the song just didn't allow those bits of musicality to breathe. And when you've got a song with a very flat vocal delivery like this, you need the orchestration of the song to allow bits of the music to really stand out. And I think this vocal delivery being flat kind of obscured it a little bit. But generally the competition for rock and metal songs this year was extremely tight. Right close to the top of the leaderboard, we had a party metal song, which is always going to have quite a broad appeal. And also quite high up in the table we had Voyager performing Promise, but Promise had more variation in the musicality. There was an interesting key signature going on. There was more variations in the various parts of the song, and the general arrangement of those other pieces allowed good music to stand out. And the arrangement of Blood and Glitter kind of clouded those musical elements a bit too much and didn't let them stand out enough. So that was my analysis of Lord of the Lost's Blood and Glitter in the Eurovision Song Contest 2023. Join me again next time where we take a technical look at another Eurovision song in 2023's contest.